We just had a major dev stream for Eternal Return that we will be covering. It was interesting to see Nimble's views and opinions that we will respond to, hopefully in the next video. For now, let's do what we always have and cover the new things coming to Lumia Island. I'm your host, Jolteon.
I'm your co-host, Jignut, and we have a lot of news for Season 7 tonight, so let's get right into it with the new characters coming in Season 7. Istvan is the first character. He's a spear character that got his hair color changed. He's an ex-researcher for Aglaya, the people running the death experiment. He's also said to use clones for an interesting gameplay experience.
Nia will be releasing in mid-Season 7, being a pistol character with a heavy retro gaming thematic, even correlating to her windscreen where she has the windscreen from Immortal Soul, Black Survival, the previous entry to Eternal Return.
Now we have a few character reworks going into Season 7. Yuki E will now go over walls, and instead of disarming, he will now slow the attack speed of the person hit. His W and Alt have proper AP scalings, and Totem will work with his ultimate for maximum aura farming.
Leon saw a lot of adjustments, the main one being to his E. It lost its CC immune on startup, got larger, and no longer requires a puddle to use. His Q got streamlined and changed into a more sleek and less demanding design. His R gained a CC immune on startup, his W no longer drops a puddle, and his passive auto drops the puddle on him, no longer his opponent.
Alex received some rather exciting changes. He'll now get weapons at levels 5, 6, and 7, instead of being forced to memorize 4 recipes and craft them. This allows him to not have a huge inherent memorization problem for players wanting to pick him up. And as a little bonus, when he weapon swaps to pistol, it'll now automatically start with ammo, which is actually a bigger deal than you might think.
Jan saw his Q2 hitbox get larger and cover himself, making it less precise to land. It also saw his ultimate give him 5 stacks on start compared to over time.
For Dylan, she can use her tack skills if she silences herself. That's it. Clean and simple.
Isaac saw a character-wide change affecting his autos, making them overall more smooth and up-to-date, like current releases, and an overall change to empowered autos came out, making them harder to cancel.
Garnet will now have an indicator on enemy health bars before even using her ult, when someone is in execute range.
Irem's cat form saw a visual update. The main thing is her eyes got bigger, and they changed the skills to match.
For our Season 7 changes, we're seeing this season as a more quality of life and new player accessibility season focused on making the current game the best it can be in preparation for Seasons 8 and 9 that will be much larger in new content. Therefore, in Season 7 there's a lot of quality of life changes, which we'll briefly mention no matter how big or small they are, like the new HUD and UI changes.
VLS will now show you the distance where you can land, updating in real time as you fly, allowing for more accurate positioning.
One of the bigger changes, Research Center is opening up and will close on day 4. This allows for much more map rotation before this period of time and mixes up the game quite a bit. Research Center will have a few drones and a cube, but no loot or anything else. Overall excited for this change as it opens up a lot of different macro decisions.
You can now no longer wipe until day 3, made to better separate early and mid-game. Each death increases the timer, and when everyone dies you add 8 seconds to the timer, and everyone shares the same timer. Overall, this is probably the only change I would call bad and could heavily swing games into being a slow 8th, where you never come back instead of the fast 8th, where you can just get into another game instantly.
So mana has always been a interesting issue in this game, as it plays a bit differently from normal Battle Royale or also MOBAs, but mana across the board is being changed to be less of a burden and will actually be slowly phased out of the game. We don't know exactly what they're doing to mana yet, we just know it's becoming less important. Rare food items like steaks and other purple and gold food items will now give a bit more when you craft them instead of just 2. A new food item gadget called the Hunter's Pot can be placed anywhere to get purple food and on a campfire to get the game's first mythic tier food. It is only dropped by boars, but the gadget is retained even after you die.
They are reducing the time it takes to craft all items, but the main one is legendary, which shall a whole 2 seconds be taken off its craft time, allowing you to better steal trees with no chance the enemy team can stop you in time. Cubes also saw an overall increase to their duration, and the Galaxy Cube got taken away.
The game flow. This season sees a lot of changes to the game flow, so let's go over what we know. There's going to be less restricted areas, we don't exactly know when these are happening. Reduced starting and max timer, mastery and XP gain will be reduced, but also XP for early mastery is increased, and XP for character levels will be reduced. These are a lot of XP changes, can't really say exactly how this will impact the game, or your levels at certain times of the game, we'll have to see. There'll also be one more Alpha and Omega spawn when they do spawn, to help spread out teams and make a little less third partying happen. All purple items will go down to only needing 4 common items. Some of them still need 5, however most of them are in 4. Now everything will be 4 across the board. Day and night cycles will also be a bit longer to slow down the game and give players a bit more time to get whatever they need to done. These changes are pretty interesting. It'll affect the gameplay quite a lot since there are so many changes. It'll be interesting to see how it all feels combined.
Lumi saw multiple item changes to better fit the wants of players. Lumi lost a permanent tack skill, recon drones, and gained the hunter's pot and a new menu that allows you to exchange items for different ones. Recon drones turn into EMP drones, trees turn into meteorites and vice versa. VF blood samples turn into force cores, which turn into mithrils, which turn into tack skills. The second menu allows you to sell your gold items to Lumi for credits. Then weather got a change to better affect plants. Rainy enhances the vision plants, giving a huge vision range around you. Clear enhances healing plants to give bonus little fruits for bursts of healing. And Sandstorm enhances sandshrooms, giving you movement speed while inside the storm.
Labs also got a pretty big change. So now every lab will have a kiosk, which is honestly great. No timer on when you can leave, so you can leave as fast as you want. Get ready for my credit lab any % run. When leaving a lab, a single zone will be labeled as a safe zone, which is honestly great, not being forced to spawn in the zone that you took the lab from. You can also enter multiple labs in a game, and since you can complete them faster, labs will finally feel like they have a great place in the game to be used in.
Red boxes give a random portable crafter now, which will allow you to choose any blood item from the gear slot it gives you. 6 new blood items have been shown, maybe more to come. There is 1 chest, 2 head, 1 arm, and 2 boot slots confirmed. Some have tank stats, some have crit. We will learn which is which more in the next patch.
Some item passes receive changes. Biotic Infusion gives attack speed when it's ready to be used. Any Vigor item now works on animals. Commander is on all damage types now, not just auto attacks. Killer Heals gives Armor Pen after ulting, making our first non-heal cut passive on the boot slot. Guardian Suit and Tact Armor will no longer have a stat requirement for their passives to activate, but they will now only work on melee characters. And finally, Blaster Helm does 300% damage bonus to animals. Overall, these changes are really great for these passes, more quality of life. The Killer Heals item is going to be pretty scary now, and Guardian Suit and Tact Armor also feels pretty good, because being constricted to your builds because needing the stat requirement felt pretty bad, especially for Tac Suit.
AoE visual effects will now be different between personal, ally, and enemy hitboxes, starting with 16 characters and adding more over time.
A very small visual change. There's going to be less visual clutter. They called it PP glow for some reason, but it will be reduced. It was mainly popping up when there was a lot of multi-hits going on at once.
Snapcasting can finally be turned on or off, a huge boon for characters like Arda.
The offset camera is finally in the game. I know a lot of players were looking forward to this. Finally will be an option.
To help out new players, every character will be gaining a role, and characters can at max have 2 roles. This is huge for new players, since this is one of the main questions people ask about the game.
And now we have the few changes we are getting during the big mid-season 7 update. Smaller one is teammates will now have their timer and current gadget they hold displayed in-game. Honestly, very helpful, especially for the gadgets when someone's holding onto a kiosk when you want to buy.
Cobalt is seeing a rework to be less random. You can choose your character, your main augment, your purple items, your tack skill at the start for free. A new infusion at the start of every game phase. You can choose your gold items. Aside from all the choices, there's also some major gameplay changes. Bears drop cubes now. Beacons no longer give stat buffs. The item shredder is gone, and you respawn directly into your base. The UI changes give you enemy respawn timers and a death recap.
And that's all we know for Season 7. Not a ton of big changes, but they were overall pretty good. But what do you guys think? Now, let's cover Season 8 as well. All of this is in early development still, so expect some changes next time we see them.
Zhu Lin looks like a Chinese-based character using a floating sword commonly depicted in the Wuxia-style media. Most likely two-handed sword like Hisui, but would be really cool if she was dual swords. This is personally the character I'm most excited for, and I think a lot of people will agree.
Our second character of Season 8 is Henry. He's a British dagger character who works as a watchmaker with a time theme. Looks like our next assassin character coming to the game.
Dimensional Rifts is a major mechanic coming in Season 8 2 different rifts on different spots of the map open. Only one team can enter each portal. Inside, they will be transferred to a remote location for an isolated 3v3. Upon leaving the rift, come back to the location you entered from and be launched as if you used a VLS.
Gadget vaults are a new interesting item that allows the use of any gadget at a price of using the item's energy. The item will break after enough energy has been used.
Something very likely to change is the new drone gadgets. One would be on a set path giving vision, one would heal allies, one would protect you from red zones, taking timer away from you, and the last one just deals damage.
They much needed a final zone rework. Seems like they finally nailed down a good system. The Chronosphere will function as the new final zones, and actually works similar to the Battle Zone drones, if anyone remembers that. They move and shrink over time to counteract the advantage of having the initial zone control, forcing fights to be at an equal advantage. Really good change for making zones more even for approaching tough characters like Selene and Isol late game. Makes it a lot more fair.
Escaping will see a major rework allowing 2 teams to escape total, but no longer take you to the abandoned dock to fight or escape. You just escape now.
Alpha and Omega in Season 8 will give buffs. We don't know about the duration, if they're permanent or temporary, or what the buffs are, but the buffs will also be enhanced to have a bonus effect if you are able to kill both of them.
Wiki is gaining a new AI to match the times, updating her battle patterns. She will pursue survivors, which is unsettling.
Stream and Sam gained some more paths, especially Stream received a couple, no longer limiting which characters can use these really big wall hops and allowing people to just walk through, which is really nice.
Nimble is debating about switching to ability haste from CDR. There's a lot of really good things about ability haste, as you can have it fill a similar spot to attack speed as it doesn't have a cap, but it's not all good. CDR does provide a lot of benefits, specifically to build diversity for a lot of mages, and it's very likely that they'll have to give ability haste in most slots to a large degree if they wanted to do this change. They're currently having this debate and considering it for future seasons because it's very intuitive for new players to get into the habits, while it's less intuitive for old players who are already used to all of this.
Here's the big Season 8 thing. In mid-Season 8, the event mode Lone Wolf will release. Essentially, it's bringing back solos, but you'll have 3 lives this time, instead of just the 1, and kills will matter way more than your placement. It'll be a time-slotted event, similar to Union. Also in mid-Season 8, the option to completely customize custom lobbies becomes available, and it has been confirmed that this will allow for all custom settings, even like recreating the Lone Wolf game mode when it's not actually available.
The future of Eternal has been laid out a little, and a very early concept is the idea of rotating game modes changing throughout the day.
Nimble Neuron is planning some collabs with external IPs, or in other words, other game franchises or media, in Seasons 9 or 10. Pretty exciting.
They plan on advertising everywhere for the external IP collabs, and will mainly be doing influencer streams as a for fun/vibes thing, rather than actual advertising. Advertising is difficult for them because it's not a money-to-player thing, and thus is very risky when they are not financially stable. They still want to advertise, so they will be looking for more outlets to catch people's eyes and give the game a try, while working on their systems to make a better new player experience that's both engaging and enjoyable.
At the end of the dev stream, there was a little Q&A section with some interesting details, and here are the more interesting ones. The map expansion that was previously mentioned of adding some new zones got pushed back, as they are coming at some point, but the other features have been deemed more important for the moment.
They had played with the idea of allowing old cadet skins to be attained in other ways, but after consideration they decided they will not be re-released.
Hacking has been discussed at Nimble Neuron for a very long time now. We finally have a decent answer to, is it coming to the game? Well, the answer is, not really. It's no longer being seen as a good fit for the Lumia Island environment, which makes a lot of sense. Nimble Neuron said they might do some experimenting with an event mode in the far future, but that's about it. JP is also still being discussed, as they aren't exactly sure what to do with him yet, with hacking not coming to the game.
After Abigail and Magnus's skins come out, another character vote will take place for more skins.
Much like mana, reloading is being looked at more of a niche mechanic that does not really contribute to the game much anymore, and may possibly be removed.
Some major questions asked about skins commonly are, what's the skin theme? Military Academy. What are the epic skins? Kadia as the box skin and Laura as the battle pass skin. What are the token skins? They are Luke and Dema. And what is the cadet skin, which is Lita Lin? Something that would also be asked is, when is Summer Nikki coming back? It's going to come back in Season 8 with her new redesign. Here are our rankings on the new skins.
So let's recap. Season 7 doesn't have a lot of major changes, but are all changes in a good positive direction that I agree with. While Season 8 has the big gameplay adjustments, I think Season 7 will honestly get stale kind of fast with a lack of gameplay content, but the sheer quality of life it brings is really great, and helps set up the future of the game in a great way. The cosmetics of Season 7 are also better than ever, so I think the game and the game's future is looking pretty good.